Mel has us out on the grill this week with a full course meal that's ready in just 1 hour.
Peaches, cobbler, pie, Melba, shortcake, ice cream. I love peachy sweet desserts as much as the next person. But I like savory sauces too, and peaches lend their sweet and tart flavor to barbecue sauce amazingly well. Join me today right here at the stovetop while I show you how to make my 5-minute peachy keen barbecue sauce, as well as out at the grill when I make my country-style spare ribs with olive oil and rosemary gold potatoes and pouches of steamed yellow onions and tomatoes. The best part about making this barbecue sauce is I don't have to stand around and peel and chop a pile of peaches. Peach preserves are the star of this recipe. I'm not going to lie, I have 2 peach trees out in my backyard, and I made homemade preserves last week. But don't worry if you don't have them. A jar of store-bought will do just fine. This is 13 ounces of my homemade preserves, which I did put in a store-bought container to show you that I'm using exactly the same size container of peach preserves. And I'm going to add about 3/4 of a cup of finely diced sweet Vidalia onion. In this container, I've got a 1/2 cup of Dijon mustard, a 1/4 cup of honey, and 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. For my spices, I've got some ginger, some mustard, and some nutmeg. That's a 1/4 teaspoon of each of those. Now we have an 1/8 teaspoon of allspice, cinnamon, cloves, salt, and cayenne pepper. We're going to get this to a simmer. First we'll stir it around to get everything all combined in this saucier. And a saucier is just a pan with a round bottom that promotes reduction and evaporation, which makes your sauces thicken quicker. And when this comes to a simmer, I'm going to stand here and stir it off and on for 5 minutes. If you like pork ribs and pork chops, I've got a cut of pork that's going to satisfy your craving for both, the country-style spare rib. It's thicker and fattier than pork ribs, which means it actually needs to be cooked like a chop. That means you don't need any dry rubs, marinades, mops, and you don't have to fire up your smoker either. All you need is some salt and pepper and a moderate grill for about 1 hour. I'm just going to salt and pepper these on both sides. I've done it with the bottom 4. Good amount of salt, that's sea salt. I use a good peppercorn blend, not just black pepper, lots of different kinds. I'm going to flip this over and do it on the other side. Let these sit for about 5 minutes. They're ready to put on the grill. For my rosemary and olive oil gold potatoes, I've got a disposable pan. All disposable pans on the grill, folks, they're your savior. I put a little bit of olive oil in here already. I'll add a bit more. I've got 4 cups of unpeeled gold potatoes that I've chopped into 1-inch pieces. You're going to give them a nice, healthy sprinkle of rosemary leaves. Lots of salt. Lots of salt. And lots of pepper. Let's move these things out of my way here. I will toss these with the olive oil to coat them. It's as simple as it gets. maybe just a little more olive oil. You don't want it to puddle in the bottom, but you want to make sure your potatoes have a really good coating of it on there. Move these to the side. I peeled and quartered 3 large Vidalia onions, put them on a disposable pan, went out to my garden this morning and picked about 16 of my largest cherry tomatoes, put those on a pan. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to cover all of my vegetables with foil, take my ribs out on the grill, and we're going to cook. Seasoned ribs go on the grill over moderate indirect heat. If your grill has a top rack, now is the time to use it. This cut of pork is going to cook for 1 hour, and I'm going to open the lid and flip the chops over every 15 minutes. After the first 15 minutes of cooking, the potatoes will go on, so they can cook for 45 minutes. After 30 minutes, add the pan of onions so they can steam for half an hour. On go the tomatoes for the last 15 minutes, and dinner is served. I can't speak for everyone, but in my food world, a 5-minute to make barbecue sauce plus an hour at the grill when all I have to do is flip chops every 15 minutes. That puts a fabulous full-course meal on my family's table. Well, that's just peachy keen. For these and all of my recipes, just go to my website.